Alright everyone, today's video is delayed slightly. They would have been actually quite a bit earlier, but Logitech decided to fuck up and it took quite a while to figure out how to actually get it to record. It required a clean install, among other things. We got to talk about the Kavanaugh smear job because it's beginning to collapse. You've got the main accuser, apparently is a no-show, like hasn't responded. The Senate's like, hey, we want you to come, I believe her name is Ford, Christine Ford, supposedly Dr. Christine Ford. You come forward and testify in front of the Judiciary Committee, and then Kavanaugh will testify, and then we'll, go forward from there. And it is technically symbolic. It's like they're not going to block Kavanaugh because they already know what's going to be said. She would say in that, hey, yeah, it's the same as the accusation that I'm making. He groped me up at a party when he was drunk when he was 18. That was 35 years ago. He shouldn't be a SCOTUS appointee. Kavanaugh will say, no, that never happened. The problem is this. The first problem is that Feinstein right now has raised the ire of a lot of people. I think the unsung story, if you're paying attention to CNN, MSNBC, some of the other hack outlets, is really, why did Feinstein decide to wait until the 11th hour? Would it not have been pertinent as much in June or July as it is now? I mean, it would have been made more sense to disclose that letter at the time and say, hey, we need to talk about this before we can vote. Should have been done at that time. Obviously, though, it's political hackery. That's the real reason. She's coming out now and saying, well, yeah, I've gave you the letter. I mean, I'm the one that gained it, but that doesn't mean that I'm vouching for it necessarily being true. We need to listen to the testimony. But she's not willing to testify. The 2 days go by after they say she and Kavanaugh are going to come and give us their sides of the story, and then we'll proceed. No response. So at this point, a lot of people are speculating that she's not going to actually be willing to testify. If she is unwilling to testify, that's sort of a tell for it being a bullshit claim now, isn't it? It's being made for political reasons. Then you've got at least several people that initially said, well, yeah, it was because I like there and stuff. They're like, no, we don't want to talk about it at all. We have no recollection of any wrongdoing. We were there, but, we don't have anything to say. Kavanaugh did nothing. So the whole thing is falling apart. It's a partisan hack job, and it's going to be very, very funny to see all of the people who are like, oh, believe her, hashtag resist, blah, 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 suddenly be let down, which was, rather predictable, because the claim was never going to stop him, even if she was willing to testify. It looks like she doesn't want to risk a potential slander suit, honestly. She's made the accusation in this letter. She's not apparently willing to testify or back it up. I wish she would. I wish she would go up before Congress. I want to see her on record, under oath, say these things. But she's not willing to go under oath if she's only willing to disclose sort of an unofficial little script that she scribbles down to Dianne Feinstein, the most liberal individual in the world, and Feinstein covering her ass at this point. If that's all she's willing to do, we can throw the claim away and totally reject it. If you're not willing to go under oath under such a claim, then basically screw off. Then we have Jeff Flake. And Jeff Flake was, of course, the first Republican there. Oh, we need to believe victims. It's like, you haven't established that there's a victim. You have an allegation. There's a big difference. It's one of the problems that a lot of people appear to have in differentiating the two. Now, saying, well, we need the testimony. He's like, well, we'll get them both before Congress to testify. Now he's tweeting out, it's like a desperate plea. He's like, oh, please come before Congress. Please let me save face here because I decided to side with an obviously partisan attack. Please let me save face after already disgracing myself multiple times in the last year anyway. Please let me save face after trying to stab Trump in the back, which is really what this is all about. Now unsuccessfully because it looks like the whole thing was basically rigged to fall apart. If I had been smart, I would have known better to endorse this concept, and I would have closed rank and said, look, a 35-year-old allegation is totally meaningless. It doesn't matter. And then the lawyer for Dr. Ford is like, oh yeah, she'll be willing to testify, but only if the FBI does an investigation first. So basically, you want to kick that can down the road for months, delaying the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings until after the midterms. Oh, that's what it's about. Yeah, it didn't take a fucking genius to realize that. Yes, we're so gullible we actually believe it. No, most people want Kavanaugh confirmed. Fucking just confirm him. You've already had his testimony. You've already talked to him. You've gone through thousands of pages of legalistic bullshit to determine what his favorite color is and whether he does or does not like strawberry filling in his donuts. You know everything about the dude. At this point, you've made up your mind how you're going to vote. It's ridiculous and totally moronic that a handful of neocons in the Senate Judiciary Committee decided to stall the process out. They're doing it because they're never Trumpers. When people on the left especially, usually Democrats, they're like, oh, even Republicans are against Trump on something. That's because those are neocons. They're Bush Republicans. They take billions of dollars from big corporations and they hate you. They want to see you enslaved. These are the sort of allies of the far left at the moment. Whereas then you have garden variety like, classical liberals leaving the Democratic Party in droves, along with the working class, which explains how Michigan and Pennsylvania voted in the last election. The Democrats are still totally unaware that this is happening. They still want to put their heads in the sand and act like if they just yell louder, everything will be okay. They can't stop Kavanaugh. Their odds of retaking the Senate after the last bit of polling with Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz getting maybe more bleak. It's starting to look like things are up for the Republicans. Look, this is Trump's, a very good day so far. The Kavanaugh hearings will proceed. The accuser's probably not going to testify. So he can say, told you so. I told you Kavanaugh was fine. She's not willing to go under oath. Fuck her. That's basically what he'll say, in maybe not so colorful terms. He should come out and say that. He should, you should have really big balls on that one. He should say, look, they tried to ruin a man's reputation, claiming he was a sexual predator over a 35-year-old allegation that the Democrats sat on for months. What the hell is going on in our republic? Then you've got the Korea news, and you've got China having to stimulate its economy to keep it afloat because of the tariff war right now. Trump's 3 for 3 already today. It's not even like fucking 9 o'clock yet. The Kavanaugh job, though, is an attack by the far left on Kavanaugh to try to push it past the midterms in the vain hope of retaking the Senate and then stalling out the process. You see, they changed the rules so you only needed a simple majority to proceed. They're hoping that they can do what they've usually done, which is scare a handful of vulnerable Republicans, neocons especially, into obeying them. That is, they want the cowardly neocons, they're called conservatives for a reason, tend to bow before the liberals' rules, and they say, oh, no, but basically the Dems are the real racists, or something like that. When you insult them and you insinuate that they're racist, sexist, they hate women, blah, 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 they'll literally turn into a human tornado, flailing in all directions, trying to explain why you're wrong. And that's why they lose. That's why they've consistently lost to Trump populist candidates within the GOP, who as a rule are doing far better, by the way, at the moment, than the neocon candidates are, because no one wants to vote for a Bushite. And you have Jeff Flake flaking out, which is predictable, and you have the Democrats haranguing about believing victims when you haven't established that there was a victimization. That's the whole problem. That entire line falls flat when you realize that unless there is actual evidence beyond a claim, there is no established victim. The only person that appears here to be victimized is Brett Kavanaugh, because people are trying to smear him and destroy his reputation, his credibility, and a possible lifetime SCOTUS appointment based on a 35-year-old allegation that so far has not one eyewitness backing it up. There is no evidence, and the FBI comes out and says, well, we can't investigate this. It's a 35-year-old allegation. What the fuck do you expect us to do? We're not going to get anything. All we will get is testimony from her saying it happened and him saying it didn't. That's all we have. There's no probable cause to probe the incident. The FBI cannot, at a whim, just decide to conduct an investigation. We learned this with the FISA system. They have to at least get a rubber stamp FISA warrant. Now, it's not hard for them to do that, but it would be rather abusive, don't you think, to open an FBI investigation to someone over a nearly 4-decade-old allegation by someone who is not apparently even willing to testify about the incident under oath. Don't you think that that's abusive? Now, the left doesn't. They think that it's a wonderful time because the whole goal is to just stall out the Kavanaugh proceedings. And, with Jeff Flake and people like him in the Senate, it might actually happen. I think that he gets confirmed fairly quickly here now that it's completely fucking falling apart, but they at least have to wait till Monday. It's like, stop slowing down your processes over baseless allegations. This is just the Democrats doing the Anita Hill thing. That's about all. Peace out.